and I know you follow this conference quite closely. You
Mhm.
follow it more closely than I do. And I got to know, is this conference, we're talking about the Mid-American Conference here. We're talking about the MAC. Everybody's favorite Tuesday games, right? MAC attack, MAC action, MACtion, right? Whatever you want to call it. If you look at the record, though, you might want to call it a laughing stock. Out of the 12 teams, Steve, in the MAC, not a single one of them are over 500. Actually, I'll even go farther than that. Out of the 12 teams, Steve, only 4 of them are at 500. Every single one of those teams, 8 out of the 12 teams have a losing record in the Mid-American Conference. I got to know, that seems embarrassing for an FBS conference. You try to build up your conferences to be really tough. You want your group of 5 conferences to be able to compete throughout the country, even when they get a chance to play against Power 5. That was not the case, not only against Power 5 or G5, but we've seen some upsets against FCS teams this year against the MAC.
Mhm.
So there's some trouble in the MAC in my mind, Steve, and I'd like to take your thoughts on it. And is this something to be concerned about, or is this something that we should kind of turn the other cheek and just keep on pushing?
I had growing concern as the season wore on because I was just looking at the end results of it. I think the one thing you have to say about the MAC is that there are good teams and there are bad teams, and there's not much gray area in between. Now, MAC schools, in order to make money, we talked about Middle Tennessee State cashing that over $1 million check for playing Miami and then walking away with a win and embarrassing them on that. MAC teams have to schedule and go on the road to play Power 5 schools, especially schools that are in state. So Toledo had to play Ohio State, and Western Michigan had to play Michigan. When I looked at it, I'm going to just break it down, and you have to excuse me for reading off the tablet here because, again, I am old, so I forget things easily. So I'm going to read it down as we go through here. Okay. Week 1, you had Central Michigan giving then number 12 Oklahoma State all they could handle. They lost 58-44, but I don't think, even though I'm pretty high on Central Michigan, I don't think I thought they would play that well against Oklahoma State.
I remember that game we were talking about with Central Michigan, Oklahoma State. We were surprised. We thought Central Michigan was going to be a better team. It just didn't turn out to be that way after week 1.
Right. And then Western Michigan played number 15 Michigan State again. See, that's why I'm reading off a tablet because I'm old. I said they played Michigan. Right. Yeah, I'm having lots of
Is that 2 weeks? Is that 2 episodes in a row? Did we just do that?
Yeah, I'm having lots of malapropisms here. Maybe I'm closer to Lee Corso than I am to Kirk Herbstreit here when we're talking college football. But Miami of Ohio played then number 20 Kentucky, who's now on a top 10 team. They lost 37-13. Buffalo also lost to Maryland that week. Bowling Green got pasted by UCLA. Kent lost to Washington. What's the common thread there? They were all games on the road. They had to go on the road in order to secure that payment, but they were all on the road. Then week 2, Kent got totally smothered by Oklahoma, 33-3. Akron got shut out by then number 14 Michigan State, 52-0. Ohio got crushed by Penn State, 46-10. All the games again on the road. Week 3, the MAC's best team, Toledo, by far. I think we would all agree on that, mm-hmm. that they have the best roster, starters, depth, and they got. I mean, the score was not indicative really as to how well that they played, but they gave up 77 points. They put up 21. That's great. But, Tennessee dominated Akron 63-6. Pitt was the only team really that went on the road to play Western Michigan. They won 34-13. Eastern Michigan got Herm Edwards fired, basically, by beating Arizona State. And then last week, Kent State, again on the road, went to Athens, played the number 1 team in the country, and they played them tougher than you might expect. It was 39-22. A loss is a loss. So you really can't, really, there's no such thing as, partial victories, or this isn't horseshoes where you have leaders and stuff. You have to win the game. They didn't do it. Northern Illinois hung tough against Kentucky, number 8 Kentucky, 31-23. Penn State beat Central Michigan 33-14. All of those games, except for the Pitt game, were all road games. So the MAC, in order to be able to fund not only their football programs, but also the non-revenue sports, they have to have these games. They have to put themselves in a position to potentially be embarrassed so that, the big Power 5 schools can pad their record going into conference play. It's from now on, we're going to see there's only been 2 actual MAC conference games. So technically, Buffalo and Western Michigan are undefeated. Okay. Okay. This is where you're going to start seeing MAC playing MAC, and it's going to give you a better idea of the power of the conference. Are they having their best year? No. Will they have their best year? No, again, because of the disparity in talent on these teams. But to totally dismiss the MAC just based on what their records are right now, going back through what I just read off of the tablet there, I think the MAC is getting a raw deal because they never back down. They always want to play the Power 5 schools, and it's actually been harder for them to schedule a lot of games outside of regional rivalries because nobody wants to have to deal with the caliber of talent that's in the MAC year in, year out.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Kent State, I think, is making almost $5 million based on the teams they've played this year. And if that's what they need to do to continue to compete so they can go in and play some good MAC football once we start getting some Tuesday games here in just a few weeks. Yeah, I get that. While you were talking about your scores there on the tablets, I did you a solid and actually went through and counted, so far for all MAC teams, their overall records, none of them are over 500. But in the MAC as a whole, their away record is 4-24. So that primes up exactly what you're talking about. But at the home, the MAC are 12-7. They have a winning record at home right now. So, okay, all right. I like the way that's looking, Steve. You got me convinced. I still think I'm still a little concerned. I'm not going to lie. I understand why there should be concern and why you should kind of turn the other cheek, though, because of the conversations of, adding those big Power 5s, possibly getting embarrassed. I like that. Okay, cool. I'm excited for MAC football regardless. I love Tuesday football. I personally think FCS should take part on Tuesdays and Wednesdays so we can see them play more.
I agree.
But if I can get MAC football on a Tuesday, I'll take it. I mean, Tuesday football is my favorite. I love it.